Laura sat across from Mark in the corner cafe they'd both frequented for years, but only recently started sharing a table. It was their third date, though it didn't feel like one. It felt like a quiet reunion, the way two people who've been orbiting the same sun finally collide. As she sipped her coffee, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, she smiled at something he said. She didn't know it, but Mark noticed. In fact, there were many things Laura, and most women, he suspected, didn't realize men always noticed. The first was how she treats other people. Mark had watched her thank the waitress by name, ask about her weekend, and even compliment her earrings. That kindness didn't come from performance. It came naturally. Mark had dated women who were charming to him, but dismissive of servers or impatient with cashiers. Laura wasn't like that. Her politeness had weight. It said something about who she was when no one was watching. Second, he noticed what made her laugh. The sound of it was lovely, yes, but Mark paid more attention to why she laughed. Was it a clever line? A sarcastic twist? A goofy pun? Each chuckle told him about her sense of humor and what lit her up. Laura laughed most when stories got personal, when people dropped their guard and said something real. It told him she wasn't there for performance, but for truth. She liked authenticity. He liked that. He also couldn't help but notice her effort. Not just in her appearance, though the soft sweater, simple makeup, and the way she changed her earrings each time they met hadn't gone unnoticed, but in her energy. She listened closely. She remembered things he'd said. She didn't look at her phone. Her attention was deliberate, and that meant more than any perfect outfit. Mark had learned over the years that effort isn't about impressing. It's about caring. Laura showed up like she meant to be there. The fourth thing Mark noticed, though he never said it aloud, was her silence. Not the awkward kind. Laura's silences were comfortable. She didn't rush to fill every gap. She let moments breathe. That told him she wasn't anxious to control the conversation, and she wasn't afraid of being fully seen. Silence had always been hard for Mark. It usually made him feel like he needed to entertain or reassure. But with Laura, it felt like trust. He noticed that too. Fifth was how she talked about her past. Laura didn't overshare, but she didn't sugarcoat either. When she mentioned her last relationship, she spoke with a kind of reflective grace. Not blame, not bitterness. We wanted different things, she'd said. I tried to be someone I wasn't for a while. Mark respected that honesty. It told him she had done some inner work. A woman who can name her own patterns is rare, he thought, and worth paying attention to. The sixth thing he noticed was subtle but constant. Her curiosity. Laura asked questions that surprised him. Not just, what do you do, or where did you grow up, but what do you daydream about when you're alone? And what book changed your mind about something? Mark had been on dates where the conversation stayed safe and shallow. This wasn't that. Laura was curious in a way that wasn't nosy. It was caring. She wanted to know him. Not just collect facts, but connect dots. That's rare, he thought, and unforgettable. And lastly, though he'd never say it too soon, Mark noticed the way she looked at him. Not in admiration, not even attraction, but in recognition, as if she saw more than just the man in front of her, like she sensed his nervousness beneath the calm, his loneliness hidden in the pauses. She didn't judge it. She just looked and smiled and stayed. Women often think men don't notice much, and sometimes they're right. Some don't. But Mark did, especially now in this season of his life when he no longer cared for games or masks or performance. He'd been through enough to know that noticing someone, truly noticing them, is an act of affection, not analysis. Laura didn't know any of this. She stirred her coffee, eyes wandering to the window, smiling at something she hadn't shared. But Mark noticed that too, the way her thoughts wandered, the softness in her gaze, the unspoken stories behind it all. He didn't rush to name what this was, but he felt deeply that she was someone worth learning, one detail at a time.